Ladies and gentlemen, take a breath. Feel the air move through you. So often, we spend our days trying to hold the world together with our bare hands, worrying about tomorrow, doubting ourselves, wondering if the answers will ever come. But worry has never healed a heart or fixed a problem. It only steals the beauty of the present moment. There is a quiet truth that whispers beneath all the noise. While you are wondering when things will work out, God is already moving pieces you cannot see. He is aligning moments, preparing paths, and turning what feels like delay into divine design. You don't have to carry it all. You simply have to trust that what's meant for you is already being formed in grace. Ladies and gentlemen, faith is not something you find when everything is going right. It is what rises in you when everything seems to be falling apart. Faith is that invisible hand that steadies your trembling heart when you can't see a way forward. It whispers in your spirit, even in your darkest hour, hold on, God is not finished yet. You see, trusting the unseen requires courage. It requires a kind of strength that doesn't shout but simply stands. Faith is not loud, but it is powerful. It is not always clear, but it is always certain. It doesn't demand proof. It breathes in the space between the impossible and the inevitable. When you trust that the unseen is working in your favor, you stop chasing after things that are already making their way toward you. You begin to rest in the rhythm of divine timing. You learn that what's meant for you will never miss you, and what misses you was never meant to stay. This kind of faith transforms your waiting season into a growing season. It teaches you that silence is not absence, it's preparation. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every delay has a design behind it, a lesson hidden within it, a purpose that will one day make sense in the light of hindsight. Faith is knowing that God is working behind the curtain while you stand center stage, unsure of what's next. It's knowing that even when you cannot trace His hand, you can trust His heart. You see, life has a way of testing your faith. It will place you in moments that make you question everything, moments when the plan you built so carefully begins to crumble, when the people you counted on walk away, when your strength feels small and your hope feels thin. In those moments, faith is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about believing that something good is still being formed in the chaos. Faith is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to move forward even when fear screams louder. It's walking through the storm, knowing that the same God who controls the wind and waves is walking beside you. It's waking up on a morning when everything feels uncertain and saying, I don't know how, but I know who. It's realizing that control is not your job, trust is. And when you stop fighting to control every outcome, life begins to unfold in the most beautiful, unexpected ways. Because faith opens doors that logic cannot. Faith builds bridges where fear only sees walls. There will be days when you will question your worth, your direction, your place in this vast and unpredictable world. You will wonder if the prayers you whisper at night are even heard. But faith reminds you they are not lost in the wind. Every word you speak in hope echoes in heaven. Every tear you cry becomes part of a sacred exchange between your heart and God's plan. Sometimes the answer doesn't come quickly because God is strengthening you to hold what you've been asking for. Sometimes He delays because He is protecting you from what you think you want. Faith is trusting that even the no is love, even the delay is grace, even the silence is guidance. Faith turns your confusion into clarity, not because it explains everything, but because it teaches you that not everything needs to be explained. The unseen is where miracles are born, where broken things are made whole, where lost things find their way home. The unseen is not empty, it is alive with movement, with divine orchestration, with timing so perfect it could only come from the Creator Himself. To trust the unseen is to walk blindfolded through life's uncertainties with your hand in God's, believing that He knows every step you need to take. When you live with that kind of faith, you stop measuring your life by what you can see and start believing in what you feel within. You begin to sense that every disappointment has direction, every detour has destiny, and every heartbreak carries hidden healing. You stop being shaken by what you lose, because you start realizing that what is yours can never truly be taken from you. You stop needing constant proof, because you've seen too many moments where the impossible became possible. Faith has memory. It remembers the mountains that moved, the doors that opened, the strength that appeared when you thought you had none left. Faith is not built in comfort. It is forged in fire. It grows when you are tested, when the road is uncertain, when the answers don't come. Every challenge becomes an invitation to trust deeper. Every storm becomes a reminder that you've survived before and you will survive again. You see, when you live with faith, you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" You stop doubting your worth and start recognizing that you are part of something far greater than you can see. The unseen world is where destiny is written long before it unfolds before your eyes. You may not understand why certain things happen, but one day you will look back and realize that the pieces fit together perfectly. That the delay that frustrated you was actually the pause that prepared you. That the rejection that hurt you was actually redirection towards something better. That the loss that broke you was the beginning of your transformation. Faith lets you see through heaven's eyes, not your own. When you trust the unseen, you also begin to see yourself differently. You stop defining yourself by your circumstances and start defining yourself by your resilience. You start realizing that faith is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing to believe that there is a reality greater than what your eyes can perceive. Faith does not deny the pain. It simply declares that the pain will not be the end. It's that quiet confidence that keeps your soul steady when everything else feels unsteady. There's a kind of peace that only faith can bring. The peace that comes from knowing that even in your weakest moment, you are still being carried. That even when life feels out of control, there is still a divine order at work. Faith doesn't mean you stop feeling afraid. It means you stop letting fear control your steps. It means you take the next step even when the road ahead is hidden. It means you keep showing up, keep believing, keep trusting, even when the evidence hasn't arrived. Because the truth is, faith is not about outcomes, it's about surrender. It's about saying, "God, I don't have to see it to believe it. I believe it because I know you." It's about walking by faith, not by sight, and understanding that every unseen force moving around you is shaping your miracle in silence. You don't have to see the seed growing underground to know it's becoming a tree. You don't have to see every detail to know the story is unfolding in your favor. When you trust the unseen, you live lighter. You stop carrying the burden of proof and start living in the flow of belief. You stop questioning every turn and start resting in the knowledge that you are exactly where you're meant to be, learning what you're meant to learn, growing into who you're meant to become. That is the quiet power of faith. It doesn't always change the situation immediately, but it always changes you. It transforms your heart from anxious to assured, your mind from restless to ready, your soul from fearful to free. Faith doesn't always remove the mountain, but it gives you the strength to climb it. It doesn't always calm the storm, but it anchors you in peace while the winds rage. It doesn't always give you what you want, but it always gives you what you need to keep going. That's the beauty of trusting the unseen. You realize that God has already written your victory. Even while you're still walking through the valley, every step you take in faith is a declaration that you believe the unseen is already working in your favor, quietly, perfectly, and powerfully. Ladies and gentlemen, when you begin to understand that God's plan doesn't need your panic, but your patience, your entire outlook on life begins to shift. You start to realize that worry is not a requirement for progress, that fear is not the fuel for success, and that control is not the path to peace. So many of us spend our days rushing, fixing, and trying to force what was meant to unfold in its own time. We confuse movement with progress and noise with purpose. But divine timing is not hurried by your anxiety. God's plan has its own rhythm, and when you learn to align with that rhythm, you discover that patience is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the strength to trust that while you wait, heaven works. Every moment of panic is like trying to dig up a seed to see if it's growing. You plant it, and then you wait. You water it, and then you wait. But the moment you try to control the growth, you kill the process. The same truth applies to your dreams, your healing, your relationships, your destiny. God's plan unfolds like a sunrise. It doesn't rush to prove its brilliance. It simply rises at its appointed hour. The colors of your life, the moments of breakthrough, the peace you've been praying for, they are all part of a grand design that can't be rushed by worry. The universe, the divine, the creator, whatever name your soul responds to, has already written the story. Your only job is to trust the process and stay faithful through the pauses. Panic is loud, but patience is powerful. Panic tells you that you're falling behind, but patience reminds you that you are being aligned. Panic makes you cling to control, but patience teaches you to release it. Panic drains your energy, patience preserves it. Panic comes from the illusion that you must make everything happen. Patience comes from the knowing that everything is already happening as it should. When you choose patience over panic, you're declaring that your faith is stronger than your fear. You're saying, I don't need to see the whole staircase. I just need to take the next step. You're trusting that even when life feels like it's standing still, something divine is moving beneath the surface. Sometimes the waiting season feels like a wilderness, like you're stuck between who you were and who you're becoming. It feels like prayers bouncing off walls, opportunities slipping through your fingers, time passing you by. But the waiting season is never wasted. It's the sacred ground where your character grows, where your faith is stretched, where your patience is purified. God doesn't delay to deny you, He delays to develop you. You're not being punished, you're being prepared. There are lessons in the stillness that can't be learned in the rush. There are blessings that require maturity to handle, and that maturity is being shaped in the silence. The things you're praying for require a stronger version of you, and that version is being built while you wait. You see, panic makes you reactive, but patience makes you receptive. When you're panicking, your heart is closed off to divine guidance. You can't hear God's whisper over the noise of your fear. But when you practice patience, you create space for clarity to arrive. You stop trying to manipulate outcomes and start recognizing opportunities. You stop begging for signs and start noticing that the signs were there all along. Patience opens your spiritual eyes. It allows you to see that delays aren't denials. They're detours designed for your protection. That closed door wasn't rejection. It was redirection toward a better path. Every unanswered prayer carries a message, and sometimes that message is simply, wait, you're not ready yet. Patience is a language of faith. It says, God, I may not see it yet, but I trust that you're still working. It's a quiet confidence that refuses to crumble when the timeline shifts. It's the ability to rest, even when you don't understand. It's the willingness to stand still while life teaches you what running never could. When you panic, you drain your spirit with questions that don't have answers yet. When you practice patience, you learn to live in peace with the unknown. You stop trying to rush what needs time to grow. You realize that sometimes the waiting is the blessing. Because in the waiting, you become stronger, wiser, gentler, and more grounded in faith. Every person who has ever achieved something meaningful has faced a season of waiting. They've faced moments when doors didn't open, when people didn't believe, when progress seemed invisible. But instead of panicking, they persevered. They allowed time to shape them. They allowed patience to build endurance. You can't microwave purpose. You can't fast-track destiny. The best things in life are slow, cooked by grace. They take time, and the time they take is necessary. The flower doesn't bloom all at once. It unfolds petal by petal. The river doesn't rush to the ocean. It flows with steady purpose. In the same way, your life unfolds exactly as it's meant to. When you panic, you interrupt that flow. When you're patient, you move with it. Sometimes we mistake stillness for stagnation. But stillness is not inactivity. It's incubation. It's where visions are nurtured, strength is renewed, and alignment is restored. The world will tell you to hustle harder, to do more, to force outcomes. But divine timing whispers, be still and know. That knowing is the foundation of faith. The quiet certainty that you're being guided, even when you can't see the road ahead. You are not behind, you are exactly on schedule. Life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. The pause is not punishment. It's preparation for what's next. Patience teaches you to breathe through the uncertainty. It teaches you that even when everything feels urgent, not everything requires your reaction. You learn to pause, to reflect, to surrender. You learn that maturity isn't about how fast you move, but how deeply you trust. You stop demanding immediate answers because you begin to sense that some answers are only revealed through time. The things you panic about today may one day make perfect sense. The confusion that keeps you awake now will become the wisdom that guides you later. Every delay carries divine intention. Every detour carries divine instruction. The truth is, panic is often rooted in fear. The fear that you're missing out. The fear that you're not enough. The fear that time is running out. But God is not bound by your calendar. He doesn't measure progress by your deadlines. He moves according to purpose, not pressure. His plan cannot be rushed because it is eternal, and eternity has no sense of hurry. So when you find yourself panicking, remember this: patience is your greatest act of trust. It's your way of saying, God, I trust that even if I can't feel it, you're still in control. It's the art of surrendering without giving up, of believing without evidence, of resting without knowing. When you stop panicking, your spirit finds room to breathe. You stop running in circles trying to fix what was never yours to fix. You stop begging for things that aren't meant for you and start preparing for the things that are. Patience shifts your energy from desperation to expectation. You go from asking, "When will it happen?" to saying, "I know it will happen, and I'm ready when it does." You stop chasing outcomes and start attracting alignment. Because patience is magnetic, it draws blessings toward you that panic would have pushed away. God's plan is like a masterpiece in progress. You may only see brush strokes, moments that don't make sense yet, patterns that look random. But one day, when you step back, you'll see how every stroke was necessary. Panic would have made you grab the brush and ruin the art. But patience allows the artist to finish his work. Your job is not to paint the whole picture. It's to trust the one who holds the brush. You may not understand why certain things take so long, but timing is a form of protection. If it arrived too early, it could crush you instead of bless you. If it came before you were ready, it would overwhelm you instead of fulfill you. Patience ensures that when your blessing arrives, you have the strength, wisdom, and gratitude to keep it. Sometimes the hardest part is not waiting. It's believing while you wait. Because waiting tests your trust. It tests your ability to hold faith in silence. But remember this, just because you can't see the progress doesn't mean it's not happening. Just because it's not visible doesn't mean it's not real. There are roots growing beneath the surface, foundations being laid, doors being built that you haven't yet reached. You don't have to see it to know it's coming together. You just have to stay patient enough to let the process complete itself. The moment you panic, you interrupt the miracle. But when you practice patience, you become one with the miracle's timing. You are not waiting for something to begin. It's already begun. The divine plan is already in motion. Your patience is what keeps you aligned with it. Every delay is a setup. Every silence is sacred. Every step is intentional. So hold your peace, keep your faith, and let your patience become your praise. Because God's plan doesn't need your panic. It needs your patience, ladies and gentlemen. What you are praying for is already being prepared for you, even when you cannot see it, even when you cannot feel it, even when your life feels like it's standing still. The truth about faith is that it moves in mystery. While you are wondering if your prayers have reached heaven, heaven is already moving in your favor. There are conversations being held, doors being built, and opportunities being shaped that have your name written on them. The delay is not denial, it's divine preparation. What you are asking for requires space, timing, and alignment, and all of those things are being arranged right now, piece by piece, moment by moment, beyond your understanding, but within God's perfect design. When you pray, your words travel faster than light. They travel into eternity. They don't get lost in the air or disappear into silence. They plant themselves in the soil of heaven and begin to grow roots long before you ever see the fruit. The problem is, we often mistake silence for absence. We think that if we don't see the answer, there isn't one. But faith calls you to see beyond what's visible, to believe that your requests are already being woven into reality. What you prayed for has already been heard. What you hoped for is already being built. You don't have to chase it. It's coming to meet you at the exact time. You're meant to receive it. Think of a seed planted deep in the ground. You can't see it. You might forget it's even there. But underground, the seed is splitting, expanding, reaching for light. It's becoming something greater than it was. That's how your prayers work. They are not idle words. They are spiritual seeds. And every seed takes time to grow. It needs darkness, patience, and faith to become what it was meant to be. The unseen soil of your life is not empty. It's full of movement, full of creation, full of unseen miracles that are taking shape while you wait. So when you feel like nothing is happening, remind yourself that everything is happening, just not in your sight, yet God's preparation is never rushed, and it is never random. There are things you've been praying for that require preparation, not just in the world around you, but within you. Sometimes God is preparing you while preparing it. He's shaping your heart so you can handle the blessing, strengthening your spirit so you can sustain it, expanding your vision so you can recognize it when it arrives. We often pray for more, but we forget that more demands maturity. The blessing must meet the right version of you, and that version is being developed in the waiting. So if it's taking time, it's because both the prayer and the person are being prepared at the same time. Many people give up right before their blessing arrives. They lose faith in the silence and assume the preparation means rejection. But just because you haven't received it doesn't mean it isn't ready. It may simply not be the season yet. Imagine if a child demanded fruit from a tree in winter. The tree is not barren, it's preparing. Beneath the frost, life is moving. Roots are growing deeper, and strength is building quietly. The same is true for you. When you don't see progress, it's because God is strengthening your foundation. What's coming needs a strong base to stand on. You cannot rush the process without risking the promise. Every prayer you've ever prayed is part of a divine conversation. God doesn't ignore his children. Sometimes his response is yes, sometimes it's not yet, and sometimes it's I have something better. The challenge is trusting that even the delays and redirections are still answers. They are not the absence of blessing. They are the protection of it. There are things you thought you wanted that would have broken you if you received them too soon. There are doors you begged to open that would have led you off course. Every no was mercy in disguise. Every detour was a design to redirect you towards something far more fulfilling. Your unanswered prayers are not wasted. They are being repurposed into blessings you'll understand later. When you truly believe that your prayers are already being prepared, you stop living in desperation and start living in expectation. You stop begging God to prove himself and start thanking him for what's already in motion. Gratitude becomes your posture. Instead of saying, "When will it happen?" you start saying, "Thank you, because I know it's already happening." That shift in mindset is powerful. It changes how you carry yourself. It gives you peace in uncertainty and strength in stillness. You start moving through life with quiet confidence because you understand that what is yours is already being shaped by unseen hands. There's a spiritual order to everything. The universe doesn't make mistakes. The divine doesn't miss details. The same intelligence that spins the earth and paints the sunsets is the same intelligence orchestrating the details of your life. When you pray, you set that divine energy into motion. You ignite invisible forces that begin to rearrange circumstances, align people, and open paths. You may not see it instantly, but you'll feel it in moments of alignment, in divine encounters, in unexpected opportunities that feel too perfect to be coincidence. That's how the preparation shows itself. Quietly, beautifully, intentionally. Your only job is to stay open, stay faithful, and stay ready. There's beauty in the waiting when you understand that preparation is happening. You begin to see delays as divine choreography. Every closed door is closing to protect something sacred. Every not yet is stretching your patience, teaching you endurance, deepening your gratitude. You learn that waiting is not empty time. It's sacred time. It's the time God uses to build you into the person who can carry the blessing without being crushed by it. There is strength being built in your silence, faith being refined in your frustration, wisdom being developed in your waiting. The same God who heard your prayer the first time hasn't forgotten it now. He's just building something that will last. We often think that blessings appear suddenly, but in truth, nothing truly good happens overnight. What looks like a sudden miracle was long in the making. The breakthrough you'll celebrate tomorrow is being built in the background today. God works in layers. He's arranging people to cross your path at the right time, placing opportunities in your future, removing what no longer serves you, refining your heart so that when the moment arrives, you're ready to receive it with clarity and humility. The waiting is not passive. It's an active preparation on both sides, heaven's and yours. When you start believing that your prayers are already being prepared, anxiety begins to fade. You stop comparing your journey to others because you understand that their season of receiving has nothing to do with your season of preparation. You realize that your timing is sacred. What's coming for you is designed specifically for you. Nobody can take it, nobody can block it, and nobody can rush it. You don't need to fight for what's already written in your destiny. You just need to keep walking in faith, even when the path feels quiet. The silence doesn't mean absence. It means God is crafting something too precious to be rushed. Sometimes the greatest faith you'll ever need is the faith to wait gracefully. It's easy to trust when everything is visible, when doors are flying open, when life is full of movement. But the real test of trust is when everything seems still, when days turn into months and months turn into years, and yet you keep believing that your prayer is not forgotten. That kind of faith transforms you, it humbles you. It teaches you surrender, patience, and inner strength, because when you stop doubting the delay, you start discovering the depth of your faith. You begin to understand that you don't need to see evidence to believe. You believe because you know who's listening. If you could see behind the veil of time, you'd be amazed at how much is already being prepared for you. People you haven't met yet are being positioned. Opportunities you haven't imagined yet are being designed. Challenges that could have broken you are being removed. The path ahead is being cleared in silence. God is not ignoring your prayer. He's perfecting your answer. You may not recognize it now, but the preparation is happening in divine precision. When the time comes, everything will fall into place effortlessly, and you'll realize it wasn't luck. It was alignment. It was timing. It was preparation meeting purpose. There's a phrase that says, faith is believing it's already done. That's the essence of trust. You don't wait for proof to believe. You believe because you know that God's nature is faithful. Every promise He's ever made stands firm. Every word spoken over your life is still alive. You don't have to beg for what's already yours. You just have to become the version of yourself who can receive it. And while you're growing into that version, God is finishing the preparation. The pieces are connecting, the timing is aligning, the blessing is ripening. You are being refined so that when the door opens, you walk through it with grace, gratitude, and wisdom. There will come a day when everything you prayed for begins to unfold before your eyes. And in that moment, you'll realize it didn't happen suddenly. It happened right on time. The tears, the silence, the waiting, it all had purpose. Every moment was shaping both the blessing and the believer. And you'll look back and understand that while you were praying for it, it was already being prepared for you